Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be creating some beautiful stencil paste Christmas trees and Christmas tags using brand new products from the Simon Says Stamp Holiday Sparkle release, as well as some Picket Fence Studios paper glitz and paper glazes, and just all kinds of fun things for these beautiful layered cards. There's going to be a little background stamping, a little stenciling, a little stencil paste, some foiling, all the things today, you guys. So the kind of the base for both projects, cards or tags, is going to be the stencils. So there's some tree mask stencils that I'm going to be using. That's kind of the bigger stenciled background that you can see there. And then there are some tree lot stencils, which are the smaller ones. Those are both brand new Holiday Sparkle release products. The trees, the masking trees, has 4 different ones. And then I'm just going to show you a bunch of paper glazes from Picket Fence Studio. I'm not going to use all these. I kind of picked out a whole bunch and then pared it down as I got to working within the project and kind of figuring out the direction I wanted to go. Now, this is a background stamp from Holiday Sparkle called Christmas Star, and it is a fantastic background stamp, you guys. This is such a fantastic basic, and I don't know what it is, but I am really digging craft cardstock with white and then some sort of glitz or glimmer, whether it be mica stains or in this case paper glazes and paper glitzes for a little sparkle and shine. So you get a little rustic and a little bit classy all in one. I am using some Dove White ink from Hero Arts to stamp this star on the background, and I'm going to do 3 panels of craft cardstock. These measure 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And then I am going to take some ornament option dies. This is a previously released, in fact, a Stamp Timber release set from Simon Says Stamp. And the big ornament background from this was die cut 3 times from craft cardstock. And I am going to stamp the ornament, all of the ornaments with this same background stamp so that they perfectly match. I don't know that I did that part on camera. Next, we're going to take our tree stencils, and I am kind of doing a little taping in place with the Low tack tape from Simon Says Stamp. And we are going to start with my personal favorite, I believe, paper glaze from Picket Fence Studio. This color is what I call iced spruce in glaze form, the distress ice spruce color. This is called Spanish moss, and you guys, it is just the most beautiful color. I don't know what it is, but I love it. I am going to stencil that right over my stamped background, and we're just creating trees, kind of more of a modern look. I was definitely going for classy and elegant with my cards today instead of kind of the more playful that I will link to at the end of this video. I'm going to carefully remove my stencil. It's not totally perfect, but I think that we can make that work. Look how pretty that is. And I'm going to set these aside to completely dry. And then I'm just going to keep working. Now, 2 of my cards, I use the bigger tree stencil, and then the next one I will use a smaller tree stencil. I didn't actually clean this one, and I didn't really clean my palette knife either, but I did end up getting all of that out. So the next color we're using is the paper glaze in the color Huckleberry, Huckleberry Blue. And that totally made me think of a line from a movie. If you can tell me what movie, go ahead and drop that down in the comments. Beautiful. So I'm feeling kind of the blue silver-ish vibes for my cards. Now I am going to switch back to my Misty really quick, and these are those ornaments from the ornament options, die cut and from craft cardstock and stamped there with the Dove White ink. Yes, I have a Toy Story Band-Aid. I am out of Band-Aids, and just an FYI, in case anyone does not already know this, the metal shim for the Gemini is super sharp. I cut myself twice, you guys. twice doing this project. I don't even know how that happened. I had to take a time out for the second one because it bled a lot. Okay. Once I have my tags, I'm going to go ahead and we are going to add the same paper glaze colors to these. So I know I didn't end up doing the last tree. I will do it in a minute. This is the tree lot stencil, and I am going to temporarily tape my ornaments to my glass mat so they don't shift. And I'm going to be super careful with how I place everything on, or place the glaze, so that I can just use the stencil without having to go wash it in between each. We're adding little tiny trees to the ornaments. If you don't need to make tags or ornaments or anything like that, you could always add this to a card and you have these really cute ornaments with trees on them. So that again was Spanish moss. Here is Huckleberry blue. And the last color I'm using is called Silver Bells, and that just makes me think of singing Silver Bells, but no one wants me to sing here. Everyone would tune out right away. Oh, you guys, look at that Huckleberry blue. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, I wanted to show this. I did not do a good job stenciling, and that is not going to be satisfactory. So I actually did go wash my stencil. Or no, I didn't wash my stencil. I checked the back of my stencil and noticed that some of the ink went through the back. So what I did was I just took that last ornament and I went ahead and did it again, and I was a little more careful. The areas of this stencil are a little bit more delicate, and I'm going to be careful when I pull it up, and that one looks better. So I'm going to keep that one. I did stamp or die cut and stamp another tag, and for that one we will ink it up with Silver Bells. So here off camera, I really quick die cut, stamped, and Silver Bells it is. The thinner the layer you're adding here, the better or quicker that this is going to dry for you. And when you're opening up your paper glaze or your paper glettes, make sure you mix it up in case the product separates a little bit, especially if it's got some shimmer in it. I always use my palette knife to kind of just stir it around. And of course, this is that last background, and I stenciled that with Silver Bells too. Now we are going to take another brand new product. This is the Joyful Hot Foil Plate, and we are going to foil this. I know I'm showing matte silver on the screen. I actually switched to silver, not matte silver, to foil my sentiment 3 times. And the great thing about this Joyful Hot Foil Plate is it coordinates back to the previously released Joyful die set. And I am going to foil this 3 times. Using my Glimmer hot foil system, I heat it up, I foil it, and then I take the coordinating die and run it through my die cutting machine. Now, I did find my Spellbinders foil machine is failing. I bet you guys. I need a new machine. That's just all there is to it, but I did add an extra shim, and that did seem to help quite a bit. I am using the Hammer Mill cardstock for foiling, and then running it through my Spellbinders Glimmer die cutting machine to set that foil onto my cardstock. And I'm loving these new hot foil plates from Simon Says Stamp. They are amazing. Now that we have our foiled sentiments, I will die cut the Joyful Greeting 3 more times per sentiment for a total of 4 layers per card, or yes, per greeting. And the reason is I want to have my Joyful popped up a little bit on my card base, and I found what worked best was just die cutting it multiple times. So I'm just going to take that, die cut it, 9 times, and then we will stack those up behind each foiled greeting. And I'm simply die cutting the shape and then running it through to die cut the extra layers. And I love this greeting. It's one of my all-time favorites, so it's super exciting. Seeing this here or another option other than just die cutting. We have the foiling option now. So let's pull in all of our cards, and you can see this beautiful snowflake that I have layering over the tree on each. This is the brand new AMELIA snowflake. Simon Says Stamp has amazing snowflakes, and I die cut these from white glitter cardstock. And before I finish up my cards, I did decide to soften the edges of the card and kind of give you that look, just kind of blur out those edges a little bit. So I'm going back with the Dove White and a blending brush and simply just inking around the edges. There is not much I love more than white on craft cardstock. So the stamping and the inking here just really make this beautiful. I'm not going to worry about inking the edges of my ornaments. We're going to leave those as is for now. Now that I have all my pieces, I am going to glue the layers together. So you can see I've got the 3 white cardstock layers. And I'm going to use liquid glue to simply stack these one on top of another, making sure to pop out all those little inside pieces. And then finishing with my foiled greeting before gluing this right down the center of the Christmas tree, right through the center of that big snowflake. I love the layering here. We have background stamping, we have stenciling with paste, we have a die cut snowflake, we have foiling popped up on layers of cardstock, and also die cut. So amazing how many layers you can get. Now, once I have the greeting where I want it to go, I am going to plop some acrylic blocks on top to help hold that down and hold it flat while the liquid glue dries. From another brand new product from the release, this is called the All Ye Faithful stamp set. I am going to stamp Tidings of Comfort and Joy 3 times on white cardstock using clear embossing ink and heat embossing with white embossing powder. And then, or not white embossing powder, silver embossing powder, pardon me, so that it coordinates back to the foiled greeting we're using. And once I have all 3 of these stamped and embossed, I will die cut them with the Simon Says Stamp Sentiment Labels die. I did choose to do all the same. All of my greetings are the same, so it's going to read Joyful Tidings of Comfort and Joy. And I thought that that went together beautifully. I love how teeny tiny the greetings are from this stamp set. There are angels in this stamp set. It is a really, really beautiful stamp set, and it also has some coordinating dies that go back to it. Greetings like the Savior of the world has come, let us rejoice. A silent night, a star above, a precious gift of hope and love. May his love shine brightly on you and yours during this holy season. O come all ye faithful, tidings of comfort and joy, which I'm using, and glory to the newborn King. So a very, very beautiful stamp set. I love seeing that included in the release. When I am die cutting with the Sentiment Labels dies, I line up one side of the die with one end of the greeting, run it through the die cutting machine, take that strip, flip the die around, line it up with the other edge, and then simply die cut that. Now, to make my greeting look the best, instead of centering it, I actually shifted it over to the right a little bit so that it is not covering up the tail in the letter Y. And I think naturally this makes our sentiment so much more interesting on our card than trying to force it in the center. That way it's not covering up anything. I mean, we're covering up, I guess, a little of the snowflake, but look how pretty our backgrounds are looking here. I am popping up that sentiment strip with foam adhesive, just like so. Then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take some pearls and we are going to adorn the snowflakes. So a lot of the snowflake gets covered up, and I save this part till the end because I don't want to waste any pearls under something where it might get covered up or it might lay wonky and, you know, just not lay right. I am using Trinity Stamps baubles in silver satin and also crystal blue. These colors are perfect and they really tie back nicely to the colors of paste and glitz that I'm using. And I'm only adding pearls to the areas you can see that aren't covered up. So on the silver card, for example, because I did end up using a smaller tree, maybe that's why, I don't know. I ended up covering up some of the parts of this one, and so it's not going to be, part of it won't be visible, but that's totally okay. I'm just kind of going on those outer points of our snowflake and adding our baubles. I think on both of these I did end up using blue. So they all have some little touch of icy blue to them. We are going to add each of these to a white top fold card base when we are finished. Now, as I looked at all three of these cards, and I felt like they're still missing something. They need something else. And a lot of times my go-to will be a heart accent. I did not necessarily see a natural place to add a heart accent on these. And looking at them, I thought, what wintry type product could I add? Where could I add it where it won't overwhelm the design? We've got a lot going on. I just want these little embellishments to be finishing touches and not be the focal point. And I know I've mentioned a lot, but the little clay snowflakes from Trinity Stamps, the vanilla sugar snowflakes, I think Honeybee Stamps has them as well, are some of my favorite. I absolutely love those products, and a lot of times my go-to will be to scatter those throughout the card design, and for this I opted not to. I opted instead to place one at the tippy top of each of the trees, almost like I would a star. I considered a star at the top of the tree and just didn't necessarily love it. And so I went for a little whimsical snowflake up at the top, and I think it's going to be the perfect finishing touch. Kind of brings some of the white from that center of each tree up towards the top and finishes it off perfectly. So now we're ready to go back to our tags. Our cards are all finished. And one of the things about the tree lot set is that there are trunks for the trees. And I think I do want to add those stenciled to my card, and I am going to use, to my tag, the paper glaze in the color Coffee Beans. And it is a coffee beans color. Oh my goodness, you guys, great color. So I do want to mask off a little bit of that, and I am simply going to mask the tree trunks on all three tags. Now on my third tag, I made a small blunder. It didn't stencil very nice, kind of like that blue tree didn't stencil nice, but I didn't want to redo everything. And believe it or not, I decided if I moved quickly enough and wiped it away, we'd just see what happened. I figured the worst that could happen is it's just paper and I can redo it if I have to, but hopefully I wouldn't have to. And it's not perfect, you guys, but I did end up thinking it wasn't too bad. And so I am going to go ahead and go with it. So same thing, gonna mask that off. Going to ink up the tree trunk, but I think my mask was a little too dirty at this point and some of the color got underneath the edge and it just looks terrible. I was so bummed. So I took my finger and I just wiped it all away really fast. I probably could have erased it too and seen if that would have helped, but it's okay. So I didn't even clean it. Probably would have been a good idea, but I didn't. Clean my stencil, I mean. So I went ahead and stenciled it again, and that one looks better, and I'm going to go with it. So let's set those aside to completely dry. While those are drying, I do need a few extra things. I did add snowflakes to the top of each tree when they were dry because I want them to definitely coordinate back to the card. And then in the ornament options stamp die set, I ended up die cutting the outline from silver silver metallic cardstock from Simon Says Stamp and layering that over the top. I've die cut an extra craft background for each tag. I really like to have a little bit more stability to my tags, so I often will cut a backer and we'll just adhere those back to back. And then that beautiful decorative cardstock that you see there is the Luxe glitter cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. It is amazing, and that little leafy piece is from the Ornament Options stamp set, or die set, pardon me. I just die cut that 3 times from that luxury cardstock, and then I'm going to take those really, really pretty crystal blue baubles and add them. So non-traditional colors in the color scheme for our little berries on our leaves, but I think this adds a really cute decorative touch to our tags. Once the liquid glue is dry, they're going to be super nice and secure. Beautiful as is, no words on the front of the tags, meaning if you want to give this as more of a decorative kind of element, or after the gift is given, the recipient wants to hang this on the tree or use it in some other way, they definitely could. You could even take these and add them to scrapbook page layouts, maybe hang them from the top of the page or hang them from a photo. You could use them in an art journal, all kinds of really, really fun, cute ways to reuse these once you have given the gift. Now, I did find that I accidentally adhered my snowflake too high up. I actually took my scissors and I just kind of carefully lifted that off, and I'll glue it back down here in a minute. We'll add our snowflake back and then add our glittery luxury cardstock. Now, the next thing we're going to do is take the backer pieces for our tags. So I did die cut the craft tag again. I am going to place that in a MISTI, and from the Let's Make a Tag stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, which is one of my all-time favorite go-to stamp sets for tag making, I'm going to pick one of the 3 to from options in that stamp set to stamp on our craft tag with clear embossing ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder. That little triangle tray from Simon Says Stamp is so handy when working with the pearls or gemstones. And here is the to from. I'm simply going to assembly line, stamp, and emboss these, and then glue them back to back. Really quick and easy. And I felt like the white embossing matched my card the best. You could always just stamp it in black ink or even a blue if you want to eliminate that extra step of having to heat emboss. Finally, I am going to take some silver May Arts twine. It's 10 inches long. Thread that through each, not the ends, leaving a nice long tail. And look at these beautiful, elegant gift tags. Ready for gift giving, a completely different color combination than a lot of the colors I use. I think they're so, so pretty. I hope this has inspired you to maybe try some paper glaze or paper glitz, not only for your cards, but also for your tags. And if you make tags, I would love for you to let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these stenciled stenciled trees and tags featuring brand new products from the Simon Says Stamp Holiday Sparkle release. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Simon Says Stamp Holiday Sparkle products that you might be interested in. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you would like to become a member of Patreon, please click the link in the description below. We would love to see you over there as part of our growing community of crafters. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new card making or paper crafting video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.